Listen to this. There's no gene that causes cancer. A lot of the people that died didn't have enough cancer to kill them. Why did they die? Negative thinking. You can change the reading of any gene just by the way you're living. So all of a sudden, you're not controlled by the gene, you're controlled by the mind, which is control the gene.
How can we access the subconscious mind to change it?
Again, good question, because I have a good answer. And the answer is this.
Dr. Bruce Lipton, an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit,
is revealing how to reprogram your mind to heal yourself.
How can we explain a 3-year-old child getting cancer?
There are two different ways right now. I can tell you one number is this, is that Scientific Journal, British Medical Journal, they both did the same study about the leading causes of death. Same result. You know what the results are? Leading cause of death, cardiovascular disease, heart attack. Second cause of death, cancer. You ready? Third cause of death, illness as a result of medical treatment. Acknowledged by the doctors themselves.
What is the solution to those people in despair?
Well, I gotta tell you the truth. You ready?
Power is what you explain. Power is within you. Power is
There's two kinds.
truth.
There's two power: physical power, mental power. Okay, mental power is it doesn't. It's not the same thing. Physical power, pushing, energy. Mental powers don't push. Let it go by itself. Then you use the mental power. But mental power, people are not very smart anymore because the education take away intelligence.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how do you think it does that?
Because a child, you've heard the phrase "use it or lose it." You know that phrase, right?
Yeah.
Use it or lose it means something. If you use it, gets stronger,
yeah.
and
Okay,
if
I
you
got
don't use it, gets weaker.
Yeah.
A child's brain is very creative, and in school it always used to be very creative for young people. Play, art, music, creating things and stuff like that. Then you get older, and then it gets, okay, memorize the math, memorize the English, memorize this. Well, they took away from the children's school the creative stuff, and they're trying to teach them the
Like to follow a certain
follow the
method.
rules and all that. Well, creativity is like a process, okay? And when you lose creativity, you can't use it. So the U.S., let's go back and U.S. was post-war the place. Why? Creativity. They had the best schools, they had the best buildings, the best everything, right? And we were the top in technology. Now we're like number 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere down at the bottom. I say, why? Because we're not allowing creativity. If you don't let a child use the creative part, then that part of the brain stops working.
That's interesting.
Is it also part of the reason that we teach them what to think instead of how to think?
That was
Right.
the point. How
Read
to
this
think.
book and
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just-
yeah. We gotta get it.
Hello.
So don't say something stupid.
Let me. I used to teach in a medical school, right? And everybody said, "Oh, medical students are the smartest students." I go, "They are not the smartest students. A smart student could not do well in school because in medical school you don't question. You take less. You take what they say, write it down, memorize it. So who are the good medical students? Not intelligent, but those that can memorize. That can. I give you 100 things. How many can you remember? You remember 90? Okay, you can be a doctor. Remember 40? Sorry, you can't be a doctor. But you don't become creative. Medicine is follow the rule, follow what they tell you. And I go,
Yeah.
so I'm teaching in a medical school. Who do you think set the rules? Pharmaceutical company. Yeah, but what drug are you going to give? What drug? Here's the drug. You tell me what. You got this problem, what drug? Oh, it's that drug. And then you pass the test, And so it's funny because in the U.S., the drug company got as far as they advertise the drugs on the television. So now the patient goes to the doctor and goes, I want the drug where the people are real happy. I want that drug. And all of a sudden I say, what does that mean? The doctor is a drug dealer. That's what the doctor is. What drug do you want? What drug should I give you? In the old days, the doctor knew the family. The doctor knew what was going on. So when he was working with a patient, they knew all the things that could be bothering him. Today, the patient sits in a chair, 5 minutes. tell me what's wrong, okay? And before you leave, here's the prescription.
It's insane.
And it's always for the symptoms, right? It's never for the source.
That is the biggest problem. You know, it's like, here's a fact that people don't, it's like, listen to this. There's no gene that causes cancer. There's not a gene. Gene is not caused by cancer. Gene is caused by lifestyle. And I say, why is that important? I say, well, think of what is medicine doing. They're killing the cancer cells. I go, okay. Now with what? Chemotherapy, radiation. I say, now you kill the cancer cell. Did anybody learn why the cell became cancer? No, they don't care. The cancer is a symptom. It's telling you something's wrong. So you're killing the symptom.
Like
That's
inflammation.
medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine. You got a pain? Let me give you a pain pill. You got the problem? Let me give you a pill.
So what you say is that cancer is 100% environmental.
Well, there's no gene that causes cancer.
Okay, it's interesting because we just got a gene DNA test.
Oh, how lucky for you. And I hope you didn't spend any money.
No, we didn't. It was sponsored.
Oh, you're lucky.
But you we have all these genetic predispositions.
Oh,
You
bullshit.
can have Alzheimer's.
Excuse me.
Cancer. No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. No, why? Epigenetics controls genes. I said, what does that mean? Genetics. Your gene is your life. That's what. Oh, you got this gene? Yeah. This is your life. That's like 23andMe. Yeah. You got genes? This is your life. Epigenetics, you can change the reading of any gene just by the way you're living. So all of a sudden, you're not controlled by the gene. You're controlled by the mind, which is control the gene.
Yeah. And I think I'm also, because, so some of the stuff that is said, I'm just going to say it's in my genes. It said, okay, I used to play basketball a lot when I was younger. And the guy said, I can see why you play basketball, because in your genes, you have a good gene for playing basketball. You like explosive more than you like endurance. You have more power easily, but you have other things. And it fits perfectly for basketball. And I'm like, but wait, is it because I played basketball and I love basketball that my genes changed?
Did you create that gene?
Or was it because I felt that I have those genes and I played basketball? And then I remembered, the epigenetics and how our genes change and everything.
That's 100%. You see, this is what my research back, I was teaching in medical school. I would go in the classroom. Genes are your life. This is your genes. This is your life. And in my research, the cells that I grew, what they became was not based on the genes. It was based on the environment that I put the cells in. And so all of a sudden I said, wait a minute. And there I'm saying genes control life. Here in my lab, it says environment controls it. And that's when I said, I'm not going back into school. I walked out of the medical school because I said, my research tells me that whole story is wrong. I said, why? What's wrong? You ready? As far as you know, did you pick the genes? No. Okay. If you don't like the genes, can you change them? No. And what else? Oh, they turn on and off by themselves? I said, so we'll put those together. When you put those three together, what does it say? You're a victim. You have no power. And it's like, that's 100% false. Because epigenetics, your consciousness is the architect. A gene is a blueprint.
So is that on purpose that they want us to have this victim belief, you think?
No, they actually thought this is where the control was, but they built a whole science. You know how many billions of dollars they put into Genome Project and all this stuff? And nobody told you the failure of the Genome Project. I mean, what do you mean it failed? I said, story in medicine, biology. A protein is the building block of the body. Okay, you got 100,000 different proteins. Well, in science, it takes a gene to make a protein. Okay, yeah. I said, well, I got 100,000 proteins. How many genes? Well, I'm going to have 100,000 genes. That was what the project started with. I said, then the project came in. I said, how many genes were there? 22,000. I said, wait, your understanding requires 100,000. There are only 22,000. Your understanding is completely wrong. That was the whole point, okay? And yet nobody said that. Nobody said, okay, science was wrong. And the money was for the genes. And the money, why? It was pharmaceutical company. Because they saw every new gene, they said, oh, this could be a medicine. Yeah. Oh, if I could find the gene that grows hair, then Bruce, you could buy a gene and we'll put hair on your head. Or you got this problem, I got a gene. So they were excited because they were the ones that said, if there are 100,000 genes and we know the genes, then it's 100,000 drugs, they were thinking. And the joke was this, well, how much money is this going to cost? They said, don't worry. Tell the people it's for humanity. This is a project for humanity, so contribute your money. Billions of dollars, right? And then when every gene was found in the beginning, the drug company patented the gene. They owned the genes until the court says, you can't patent nature. That's nature. So they lost the patents at that point, but that was the mission. Pharmaceutical company wanted the Genome Project because they wanted 100,000 new drugs. And then when 22,000 genes were found and they could not explain, how can I make 100,000 proteins with 22,000 genes? Why? Because the belief system was wrong. And you couldn't explain it with that belief system.
The foundation and the whole basic understanding of the science behind it was wrong.
That's why still people say, oh, the gene caused cancer, or the gene caused this, and they keep looking for the genes. I said, genes didn't cause this. As I said, epigenetics, genes are blueprints. That is a real story.
Yeah.
But a blueprint does not turn itself on and off. You need an architect.
How can we explain a 3-year-old child getting cancer?
There are two different ways right now. I can tell you one number is this, is that the genes of the child are set while it's a fetus. I say, how do the genes set? Because environment. I say, what's the environment? You ready? The mother's blood. When I was teaching medical school, we say, look, it doesn't make a difference about what the mother feels or anything, as long as she eats well, takes the vitamins, does the exercise. And they say, that's all to be a good mother? I say, yeah, why? Because the belief was genes control the baby and the mother just has to feed the baby, so they only cared about what the nutrition was. Epigenetics, blood has nutrition and information. There are hormones, there are emotional chemicals, there are neurofactors. That's in the blood. Yeah. So those are the things that control the genes. And since they didn't believe that, then they weren't concerned about the mother except that she eats well, so she makes good nutrition. Now it's like, no, how does she feel? What does she think about the world? How's she being treated? Why? Because that affects her chemistry and her emotions and all that, the stress hormones. They go straight into the fetus and adjust the genetics. So number one, environment is influential, lifestyle environment. Number two, and this is hard for most people, okay? When you understand the full biology, which is something I never believed in before, is that we are identity. We're not in this body. We're a broadcast, a spirit, which in quantum physics acknowledges spirit. It's the only science. Why? Spirit is an energy field. And all of us have a unique set of antennas on our cells called receptors, called self-receptors. No two people in the whole world have the same set of these antennas. They're on the surface of the cell, and they're called self-receivers. I go, so where's self coming from? Well, originally they said the self were the antennas, the proteins. But it's like, no, you don't understand the physics. The proteins receive a signal. And so the self-receptors on your cell are reading an environmental signal. I go, so why? I say, no two people have the same set of antennas. No two people are receiving the same information. Each of us is receiving our own private radio station, okay? And so actually, when I talk to the audience, I tell them, look, the body's like TV set. The self-receptors are receiving the broadcast, that's you, and you play through the TV. And I say, well, wait, if the TV breaks, we say TV is dead. I go, yeah, it's not working anymore. But then I go, did the broadcast die when the TV died? I say, no, the broadcast is always there. I go, aha. Then I say, what? Well, what happens if an embryo shows up with the same antennas? You're back. Different TV set. Does it make a difference, male or female? I say, no, that's the TV. Does it make a difference if it's white, brown, red, black, yellow? I say, no, that's the TV. We are the broadcast. We are not the TV. Okay? So this becomes really important because what if you have 1,000 lives? Let's just say you have 1,000 lives. And you say, one life I'm going to donate. Why? I'm going to do something that people will learn something from, okay? The Holocaust, 1 million people died. Yeah, but they donated their life because if we learned the lesson, we shouldn't do this again, okay? And this is the same thing with all of us. And I said, what if a child came in and got cancer? I said, it's going to affect the family, it's going to affect the community, it's going to affect the doctors. So I say, so if I say, look, I got 1,000 lives, I'm going to give you one. Okay, I'm going to come in there, I'll give the cancer, and I'll die. But everybody's going to have experience from this, okay? All of a sudden it changes the meaning of it, because if you think you only have one life, it's like, oh, poor person died. I go, oh, they'll be back. We've been here, all of us have been here before. Yeah, so
I think that's very, very plausible. I mean, especially in quantum physics, when you think about this, that you're just receiving a message which is then, but that when it gets so difficult for me to even think, what is that spirit? I mean, what do you think it is?
What, the spirit?
Yeah, like what is it that we receive the waves and
the antennas are receiving. Look, you got, let's say, radio FM. You have FM broadcast, okay? You got a station here, you got a station here, you got a station. At each different frequency, you got a different station. Well, there's human broadcast band, and each of us receives a station, and that's who we are. That's a vibration. Yeah. And I don't have your station, you have your station. You know what's interesting? When people get the heart transplant, because the powerful nature of the heart, it's still receiving, the antenna is still receiving from the same source. So the people, and there are books on this, when they get a heart transplant, their behavior changes too, because they start to get the characteristics of the person whose heart it was. Oh, because the heart's still there receiving the same broadcast.
So this consciousness or spirit or whatever it is, it must be then just pure energy. There cannot be anything physical attached to it.
Let's see, now we have to step back 1 second and understand what quantum physics is. Quantum physics, when you take the atom apart, first they thought it was like a sand grain. Atoms were these things. The Greek word, atom, uncuttable, meaning the smallest piece. But then in 1895, they found, oh, wait, there's smaller pieces inside. Proton, neutron, electron. Then they said, wait, inside smaller pieces, quark inside. Finally, they said, what is the quark made out of? It's made out of energy. So like a tornado, nano tornado, force, okay? Atoms are made out of energy. So I say, what? Well, everything that you see is matter is made out of atoms. Yeah, but atoms are made out of energy. So guess what? The whole universe is energy. That's what quantum physics is. So it's not matter. That's Newton. Energy, matter, two separate things, okay? And that's where the problem comes from, because today in Newton, matter affects matter, energy affects energy, but matter and energy don't talk to each other. Well, if they don't talk to each other, then the idea of mind, spirit, consciousness, that's like, oh, that's not necessary. And medicine, until recently, never talked about the psychology, the mind, and the consciousness. It's just a machine made out of proteins, physical thing, and you give it chemical drugs and all that. And it turns out, no, that's Newtonian physics. That's wrong, because everything is energy. So all energy is interconnected. And as I said, from quantum physics, 1927, day one, consciousness is creating what we experience as matter. Consciousness. Change consciousness, you change the matter. When we talked about cancer is what appears to be matter, but it was made from consciousness. Change the consciousness, the matter changes.
As Bruce says, our genes are the blueprints, and the architect is our environment. Do you want to know what I do to take care of my environment? I do everything I can to optimize my lifestyle. At a biohacking conference earlier this year, I met the founder of Nocebo. Their range of supplements and functional foods struck me immediately. The fact that I'm able to eat or supplement things without feeling bad for not knowing exactly what's inside them is an absolutely plus for me, including that I'm 100% certain of the efficiency of their testing procedure of their products. And with Nocebo, I feel confident about that. Some of my favorite products from them include their 100% natural coffee, their ghee, in which I eat on an empty stomach every morning. In fact, I put it in my coffee. This is amazing for digestion. Then I use the organic C8 MCT oil, And of course, the 100% pure chocolate bars, which is based on nothing but pure chocolates. So, every single of their supplements or functional foods are 100% natural, free from toxins and heavy metals, and all their animal-based products are based on grass-fed cows that come from European biodynamic farms. If you want to learn more, discover their full collection at nordcode.com, and that is spelled NOORDCODE.com, and use the code HOLISTIC10 for 10% at checkout.
So if, let's say, someone had cancer and they want to cure themselves from cancer.
Yeah.
The first thing they really have to look at is the environment. They have to somehow analyze their own environment and say, what is it that I'm doing wrong?
That's exactly. It's not just environment. What is my behavior? Okay, the movie The Matrix, everyone says science fiction. I go, no, movie's not. It's not. It's a documentary. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, what's the story? Everybody's programmed. They go, no, that's a scientific reality. Every person is programmed before age 7. I say, the cool part was, what if you take the red pill? I said, what happened? Oh, you get out of the program. Guess what? When people fall in love, that's the red pill. I go, what do you mean? I say, their life was blah, 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 blah. They meet somebody, fall in love, 24 hours later. Oh, life is so beautiful. Everything is wonderful. I'm so in love. And they have what? Honeymoon. What's honeymoon? Heaven on earth. I go, wait a minute. Your life was struggle, 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 struggle. You fall in love, and 24 hours later, you have heaven on earth? I go, heaven on earth was always here. It's the program that made you struggle that took you away, because when the moment you fell in love, red pill, love, you stop playing the program. What happens the moment you stop playing the program? Then your creative mind takes over, and your creative wishes and desires. We all have that. But 95% of our life comes from the program. That's science.
It's the
Subconscious mind. And then people say, well, I'm going to talk to myself and change that subconscious program. And they talk to themselves like, I can do better. I'm going to work better. And I go, who are you talking to? I'm talking to the subconscious. I go, wait, it's a hard drive. There's nobody in the subconscious. You're talking to nobody. You think you can talk and change the hard drive? Talk to your computer and tell me one day the hard drive is going to change. I say, it's not going to change till you push the record button. And that's the same thing with the mind.
There has to be an action attached.
You have to do some process to open up the mind for
But
recording.
if we have been programmed since the years before 7 of age, and we have no idea about our behavior, why it is as it is, how can we access the subconscious mind to change something?
Okay, I love that. Good question, because I have a good answer. Okay,
That's great.
And the answer is this: 95% of your life comes from the subconscious. Your life is a printout of your subconscious. So you look at your life right now and you go, the things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have a program to let them in. But the things you want, and you work hard and you struggle and I'm sweating over, I'm putting a lot of effort, I'm going to make this happen. I say, stop for a second. I say, why are you working so hard? And the answer, the program you got doesn't give you that. And therefore you're trying to override the program with effort, more work, harder, working on it. It's like, that's not how you get there. You want to get there, change the program. You don't have to work harder, just like everything nice, they'll come to you. Yeah. So the idea is, what are my programs? I wasn't there 3 months before I was born. I wasn't conscious. I can't tell you. I wasn't conscious for a whole year, 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. I wasn't conscious a whole year, 1 to 2. Most from 2 to 3, pretty much unconscious. But by around 3, you can have some memories, okay? But you can't tell me what happened in the womb. You can't tell me the program you got when you were 0. You can't tell me the program you got when you were 1. So that's where people are lost. I said, what's my programming? I wasn't there. I go, yeah, but 95% of your life is the program. So you just have to look at your life and say, the things you like that come, they come because you have a program. The things you want and it's not coming is because the program you have does not support that. So the answer is right there. What are your programs?
Then, so what I hear you saying is take the path of least resistance, right? Take the path that sounds easy.
No, I wouldn't do that because some of the programs you got might say this is the easy path, and I say the easy road might take you to hell. You don't know.
So how can we distinguish then?
Yeah, that's what my next question was. This, then, because sometimes you want something and you think this is what you want.
Yeah,
I want a lot of money. I
Oh.
want that car. I want to
Why?
live there.
Why?
Yeah.
We
Why?
look. I've been in the belief change business. I don't do the belief change. I lecture for those who made the programs. Okay. And I remember being in one of the belief change programs, a professional wrestler. It's not real sport. It's like theater, okay? This guy, he was the bad guy. So every time he would come out to get in the ring, boo, boo, they yell at him. And so think about this guy's life. Yeah. He goes to work, and what is it? Everybody hates him. So he's psychologically upset because his job is everybody hates him, So we were sitting down, just like we said. Well, what do you want? He says, well, if I do good, I can be an announcer, and then if I'm good at announcing wrestling, maybe they put me on TV, be an announcer for a sports show, and then when I'm doing that, I'll make enough money, and then I'm gonna get a nice car, and I say, and then what? And then I'll be happy. I say, you have to do all those things. I say, you could be happy right now with nothing. What the heck are you doing? But our program is, where are you in the Darwinian survival of the fittest? Where are you, at the bottom of the fittest or the top of the fittest? And everybody wants to be the fittest. I say, how you do that? Compete. That's what Darwin's whole theory is: competition and struggle. And I go, people bought that. That's a total lie. Evolution is not competition. It's cooperating with nature.
But then, okay, you want to?
Yeah, because we talked about this Darwinistic view earlier. Like, why do you think it is so important for them, whoever they are, to push this Darwinistic idea? Because we had two different viewpoints back then. One was Darwin, who believed in competition.
Yeah.
One was
Lamarck.
Lamarck.
Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, the French guy.
Yeah.
And right away, you can see there's a problem.
Yes.
You got the French guy and the English guy.
So that made me cross. No, so he saw the same theory, but with other glasses. He saw cooperation rather than competition.
He came up with a simple reality. He wrote his theory 50 years before Darwin.
Exactly.
Everyone said, Darwin wrote theory of evolution. I say, no, Lamarck wrote the theory of evolution. Darwin just had a different way of doing evolution. Lamarck's way was simple. You know what he did? He said, isn't it interesting how the organism fits the environment? The polar bears are in the Arctic. They're not in Africa. Roses don't grow in the Arctic. They grow down here. And I go, so he looked at it and he said, it's not a coincidence that the organism and the environment fit each other. Okay? So that's when his theory said there's a communication between the environment and the organism, which helps the organism adapt to the environment, okay? Darwin was random mutation, accidents of mutation cause adaptation. And I go, it was not an accident. We were programmed to fit the environment. It was Lamarck who was right. And so I always love it because, sorry, England, Darwin is the cause of all the damn problems we got, because his vision was we got here by accident. And I say, so what's the meaning of that? And I say, well, then what's the purpose of humans? I say, there's no purpose. It was just accidents of the genes. I go, no, that's a bunch of BS, belief system BS. And I say, so why is this important? I say, because the organisms and the environment work together. We didn't get here. We were helping the garden. And this is why, like in Native America, the Indians, they were the ones that said, the nature is a garden, and we are gardeners. We are here to help nature. And then the Europeans come over there and destroy the whole nature, and the Indians are looking at them going, who are these crazy people? They're destroying the garden. And now we're destroying it to the extent that it will not support human life very soon.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, when I hear this, and this is what I've been thinking a little bit about also, is it seems to me like time and the perception of time is also very much related to these theories, because when I see the competitive Darwinistic theory, it's always about an end goal, and once you reach here, I want the wrestlers, well, I want that car, once I reach all these steps, I'm gonna get the car. When we win this Premier League in football, we're gonna get the medal, and next year there's a whole new one starting, but it's always about a linear way of thinking about it. But when you think about it in the other way, the environment communicating with the organism, it's more cyclical. It's more back and forward. Like we don't need to rush.
No.
We don't need to. I'm here, and you support me. I support you. Back and forward. This is a corporation.
That it's community, which is evolution is community. It's not evolution of genes. It's when people learn to live in harmony with each other, then the planet. Like for example, early on when the archaeologists they look and they say, let's say, who invented the plow? I say, that's thousands of years ago they got the plow. You know, for 1,000 years, the same plow was used, never changed, same plow. And then about 30,000 years ago, technology started to begin. And then it started growing faster and faster. And today, the technology turnover is so fast. What is created today, maybe tomorrow will be outdated, okay? And so scientists were saying, what happened 30,000 years ago? Because it's pretty static, the same, you know, like when they uncover archaeology, they find the same tools, the same things, thousands of years, the same things. And then there was a change. So they tried, what was the change? Oh, there were two ideas. One, maybe the brain changed how it works and people got smarter, so we got more technology. Or the genes changed and there was a gene change, made us smarter. And it's like, no, both wrong, you know? It was the size of the community change. When you're out there alone, let's say the three of us are around a fire with stones and we're sitting out there and we say, look, the moon, you know, let's go to the moon. It's like they look at each other. What do you mean go to the moon? You know, like what? I say, we can imagine going to the moon. What happened? We took that imagination and we went to the moon, okay? It was technology took us, okay? I said, a computer, wonderful technology. You know how many individual little technology changes? 50,000 over the history. 50,000 different things had to be learned before you could assemble the computer, okay? So it was what? A progression. More people made more ideas. More ideas gave us more opportunities. So as the population started to grow faster, the technology went. If you plot population size, technology, same curve, jumping right up, okay? So the idea is, we didn't get smarter in the brain or the genes. We got smarter because we're sharing awareness. That's what the point is, okay? And now the size of the population with the internet is, well, essentially the whole world is connected, and everybody can have a contribution. Everybody could add an idea, and the more ideas, the more the world evolves.
But what about cellular behavior? Because we talk a lot about human behavior and it's built on cooperation rather than competition. I guess it's kind of the same inside our bodies, right?
100%, because the story which I present about the nature of evolution is the nature of getting cells smarter and smarter, okay? And it's connected to the skin, the membrane of the cell. Like our nervous system comes from our skin. The cell's nervous system is the membrane, the skin. And I say, but there's a maximum amount of information you can put in a system, surface area, okay? And so it's interesting because a bacterium only has a small surface area inside a shell. So it's like an invertebrate. There's no backbone on the inside. It's supported by a shell. But you can only put so much membrane. And then there's a point where you made the smartest bacterium. Well, I can't add any more membrane because it's the membrane surface. So I said, well, then bacteria had to come together in a community because you got the smartest one, but in a community, they could share awareness. So they came together, and the community in science is called biofilm. That's a bunch of different bacteria living underneath one membrane, and they're all sharing inside. Each one does a different job. They work in community, okay? So Then I say, so the cell, the amoeba, is the result of a community of bacteria becoming one. And I say, yes, now the cell got so much membrane. You can't add any more membrane because the cell will break if it has too much. So then I say, you got the smartest amoeba. Then what? Well, then the amoebas came together. I say, like what? I say, a human, 50 trillion amoebas inside under your skin. I say, giant community. Here's something people don't know. Every function that's in your human body right now was already present in every cell in your body that has a nucleus with genes in it. So that means the red cells don't have that, okay? But that's why we can change red cells, because there's no identity to the red cell, okay? It's A, B, O, that's the type, okay? But each of us has our own cells. I can't put my cells into your body because your immune system will say, oh, it's not self, get rid of the cells, okay? So each of us has the self, but those are the antennas that stick up. I say, so what? Every function that's in my body is already present in those cells. Every cell with a nucleus got respiratory, digestive, excretory, muscle cells. It's got skeletal cells. It's got brain cells. It's got endocrine cells. It's even got immune system. I say, so what's new in a human that's not already in the cell? I say, nothing. Everything that we can do is what cells can do, because we're made out of cells, okay? So I say, yeah, but we're made out of 50 trillion. I say, what does that mean? Big community, share awareness, okay? And so the brain takes the job, the cell's job of the brain is the intelligence, okay? I got heart cells, their job is to beat. I got digestion cells, they're to digest the food. Brain, okay? Now, surface area, and this is why I say this is interesting, because like the bacteria have a shell on the outside, you could only put so much membrane. The human skull is a shell. And when you look at a rat brain, which has a shell, the brain is like a round, like a balloon, just a round balloon inside. And then you look at the human, and it's got all these folds. They're called in Latin sulci gyri. They're folds. When you look at the brain, it's all folded. I say, why? Because if you take the brain out and flatten it out, it's got a large surface area, okay? But again, as much surface as I could put in the brain is already there. So once the smartest human, I couldn't make a smarter human. What happened to them? Then humans came together in a community. And I say, and what's the result of that? Well, every time the individual gets smarter, it then joins up and makes a community. The community then becomes something different. A bacteria community becomes amoeba. Amoeba community becomes a human. Now we have 8 billion human cells, each of us. And I say, and what do you think the next level is? It's a pattern. When we all recognize we are one, a new organism, it's called humanity. We're creating a new organism. We're not there yet. Humanity is a word that we would like to be, because human means compassionate, caring, nurturer. That's what human means. We're human, okay? Humane in English, humane, okay? I say, we're not there yet. We're killing each other. How can we be human, okay? But we're becoming, this evolution that is in process will bring 8 billion people and say, we all came from the same place. The television bodies, they're different. The spirit, all of the spirit from every human came from the same place. We all came from the same source.
Yeah, because if quantum physics is true, which I will definitely believe it is, then if everything is energy, right, then we all basically come from the same source, and everything is kind of the same, without an ending or a beginning, but that's a long talk.
Yeah, but that's a true story, because number one, let me just tell you, the most truthful, the most valid science on the planet is quantum physics. And quantum physics even acknowledges the word spirit, because they say that's an energy field, but it's unique. Why? My antennas receive my energy field. Your antennas receive your energy fields, okay? All of our fields, if you're not in the body, all the fields are a giant broadcast, okay? So each of us is all a small piece of the whole human broadcast. So I say, well, what would you call all the broadcasts? I say, God. I say, what does that mean? I say, each of us is a piece of God. I say, why? God, creator. I say, yeah, you're creating your life. You're a piece. You're not creating the world. You're creating your own life. But when you come into a community, then community collectively is what creates the world, okay?
That's also what's interesting about religion, because that's
Oh,
quantum physics basically proves that religion is non-existent, because we pray to an external God, but there is no external God, because if everything is energy, then we are God. Basically, there
that's
is no
100%,
external.
100% true. And you're a creator. You're creating your life. Now you look at your life and you go, "Oh, my life is not so good." And I go, and then you want to blame it on people. I say, no, you still forget. You are creating. You're creating the good. You're creating the bad, and you cannot die. Why? You're not even in the body in the first place. And you'll come back again, reincarnation, because the future embryo has the same antennas that you have. They're going to receive the same broadcasts, whether the TV body is male or female or whatever race, it doesn't make a difference. Religion made separation. Religion says, my God is different than your God. And I go, no, all gods are the God is the same. And you separate me based on my religion. You want to say the other religion is bad? And for how many years has there been everything was religious wars until recent time. Now it's material war, okay? But everything up until recent was religious war. And the one I love, because Christians, a Protestant, Catholic, same God, same Jesus, same story, and they fight each other. I go, my God, they're both from the same basic source, and they fight each other. How can religion, with a God of love, Jesus, have them fight each other when they both are saying they love Jesus, and then they fight each other? I go, that's separation. Why? My personal story? Religion is the business of spirit. They sell spirit.
What is your thought on Neuralink?
Neuralink?
Yeah.
Neuralink.
That's
Have you heard of that?
Elon Musk's
new invention where they put a little. I think it's
Oh.
because when I don't.
Oh, yeah. It's an AI.
It's
kind
more
of,
than an AI.
kind
What
of.
they have done, they've started clinical trials on it last year, I believe.
Yeah.
And they already have 2 human beings in clinical trials right now that are able to control a computer
Yeah.
with their brain.
Okay.
So they say, do this, do that, and the computer will do it better than normal people controlling.
Okay.
What do
now,
you think? Is that the next step of
I would-
community, or is that
I think it's
bullshit?
one of the most destructive things that you could ever do. Why? We're not even using the intelligence we have. If we use that intelligence we have, we wouldn't have to deal with any of the problems in this world. But we are using that technology, and that is like another religion. And I say, you're going to improve the body. I say, you're not even using it now. And you already want to add something to something you haven't even fully used yet. If you use it fully, we'll talk about it later. But right now, people aren't using their intelligence, and you want to put a chip in. Like, and who makes the chip, and what else are they putting in when they make the chip? I trust no one to put anything into my body, especially vaccine. Never would I put a vaccine into my body.
Okay, so no vaccines at all, not just the COVID vaccine.
No, because there's a natural vaccine system. How do you think we survived all the way up until medical school, okay? We survived because there's a natural vaccine system, and people have messed it all up. I taught in medical school. I can tell you they messed it up because there's some things in the throat called tonsil. The idea, if you read the tonsil in the medical book, if you eat foreign stuff, the tonsil will, kill it. If it's viruses or bacteria, the tonsils will protect you. I go, the tonsils don't do that. The tonsils learn. Whatever you put into your body, they learn what it is so that they can have understanding of the world outside of your body. And this is why babies, they will put everything they can reach into their mouth. Why? Natural vaccination. So if you want to vaccinate, you then use oral vaccine because the tonsils are learning center, not protection center, learning. And yet, humans think they're so damn smart, and they try to tell nature what to do. And I said, and the result of that is we're destroying the world. So I don't think I would support the human vision that they're smarter than nature. Nature created the vaccination system long before there was any even idea of a school existed. because people had to have protection against the viruses and all these things. That wasn't just when the medical school showed up.
So basically, what happens is we build bigger and bigger communities. And these bigger and bigger communities create technology, which in turn then destroys us if we go too deep into them.
Yeah, if you bypass the understanding of a human, because we've always been believed, oh, we're not smart enough, we're not strong enough, we're not good enough. I go, that's BS, okay? The fact is, everyone is super powerful, but if you don't believe you're powerful, then you're not. Look, there's something called placebo. You know placebo. What's that? I got a sickness. The doctor says this is a brand new pill. It's going to cure your sickness. You believe it. You take the pill, you get better. And then you find the pill was sugar pill. I go, well, then what heals you? Not the sugar pill. You believed it was. That was positive thinking. That's what it is. Placebo is positive thinking. I go, yeah, that's absolutely true. Positive thinking, powerful. It can heal you of any disease. Placebo, okay? What about negative thinking? What do you mean? I say, well, you're telling me about positive thinking. You're so powerful. I go to tell you the truth. You ready? Negative thinking is equally powerful, but it takes you not from here to health. It takes you from here to death. Negative thinking is what causes cancer. Negative thinking is what causes 90% of diseases. Negative thinking right off from the very start. It's the opposite of positive thinking, placebo. It's called nocebo, okay? I go, why is that important? Because people have more negative thoughts than they have positive thoughts. I say, well, if you have more negative thoughts, then your life is more negative, and then you have positive. I go,
you're fucked.
And I say, who programs these negative thoughts? I go, religion.
Yeah.
The news?
Yeah.
The news.
The
That's
governments.
it. Watch the news. Tell me how positive you feel that the world is good after you watch the news. It's like scare the hell out of you. Here's another thing. Stress shuts off the immune system. The more stress you're under, the sicker you get. And so the world is stress-driven. Who's war? Who's poison? Who's virus? Who's blah, blah, blah? And all of a sudden you're so afraid and you live in stress. And the moment you live in stress is the moment you shut off the immune system, and that's when disease begins.
But placebo is just the words for an inherent function of the consciousness. Because science see it as an instrument or this magical ability of the human body. But isn't placebo just a natural byproduct of consciousness? Because everything is energy. So we can manipulate it.
You have a choice. Do you want to believe in a positive world? Do you want to believe in a negative world? Whichever one you believe in is the one you're going to participate in, because your body will accommodate the thought and adapt to that thought. That's what it is. We adapt to the thought. So if I have positive thinking, I can adapt to that and create wonderful things. If I have negative thinking, I adapt to that, I'm going to get sick on the way of destroying everything. And negative thinking, as you just mentioned, watch the news. They're not giving you any positive thinking, okay? And so the reality is we keep getting less and less power, because the more and more the media, the news, the television, the written, the web, whoever controls the media controls the people. Okay? At first it was religion, because there wasn't what we have, internet and all that. They controlled the media. They told people, well, if you do this, you will go to hell. And it's like, oh, and then people get afraid. And the thing is, they're son of a bitch. I say, why? All humans are driven to reproduce. Why? That's nature, because without reproduction, the species disappears. Okay? It's called in science the biological imperative, meaning the requirements of biology. Stay alive. Even bacteria. Well, if you try and kill a bacteria, it's not going to go, oh, okay, kill me. No, bacteria will try and stay alive. It'll do everything it can. All organisms try to stay alive. Well, they're staying alive as an individual. They're staying alive as a species. The difference is, as an individual, I take care of my health. As a species, I have to reproduce. We're all driven to reproduce. Unconscious, below the brain. It was there before there was a brain. Reproduce, reproduce. Then the church says, you can't reproduce unless you're going to have a baby. And I go, but you're driven to reproduce. So guess what? Well, let's charge you as a sin. And I said, oh, wow, what an easy way to make money. Why? Because everybody's going to do it anyway, no matter what, because it's built in below whatever you told me the story in the church. Below that is the drive to reproduce. People are going to do it anyway. So they know that. So what? Charge them. Oh, that's a sin when you do. Oh, you're going to have to pay us more money when that sin happens. You know, it's like, it was business. Religion's business of spirit. First they tell you you're not connected to God, then they want to sell you the connection. I go, you cannot be disconnected from God. You are spirit. A spirit is a piece of God. Nobody's here without a spirit. I mean, everybody's here with connection to God.
But when we see it from a quantum physics perspective, it makes so much sense.
I mean,
It makes so much sense.
I always thought that if you look at the religious principles everywhere, all the way from India to here to Islam to Buddhism to everything, there are a few things that goes again, and it's about being healthy. I mean, the original principles, it's about you gotta fast sometimes. Sometimes you gotta move up and down because it's good for your body. And it seems to me, when I just look at it, if no one told me this is to pray to a higher power, I would say these are things you do to keep yourself healthy. You eat healthy, you don't drink alcohol, you don't smoke, you don't do these things because it's healthy to yourself. But then at some point, it seems to me like someone took that and said, you're doing all of these things to make someone else happy, not yourself. And that's when they were able to control the other people, because you had to have the approval of something higher, some priest.
You got it. That's the story. And the idea there's money behind it. When you feel you are a victim, then you will pay money for somebody to take care of you, because you say, I can't do it. I need something else. So the medical pharmaceutical, oh, you're a victim. You need to take these drugs. I go, these drugs are killing more people. Interesting, they have legal drugs, illegal drugs, okay? In the U.S., less than 100,000 people die from illegal drug. But we have a war on drugs, okay? 300,000 people die from prescription drugs. And they said, nobody says anything. Why? Well, that's medicine. So they're killing 3 times more than the legal drug, but nobody says anything, because that's the story of medicine. I go, you people are crazy. If you look at the statistics, listen, the Journal of the American Medical Association, scientific journal, the Journal of what is called the British Medical Journal, BMJ, they both did the same study about the leading causes of death in the United States. They both did the study, separate, okay? One in 2000, British Medical Journal, 2016, okay? Same results. You know what the results are? Leading cause of death, cardiovascular disease, heart attack, okay? Second cause of death, cancer. You ready? Third cause of death, iatrogenic illness. And people go, what the hell is iatrogenic illness? I go, science is like the church. We put it in Latin. Nobody knows what the hell we're talking about.
Exactly.
Iatrogenic illness is the Latin name for illness as a result of medical treatment. What's the point? The third leading cause of death in the United States is the medical profession. Acknowledged not by outsiders, acknowledged by the doctors themselves. So the point is, everybody looks at medicine as it's going to save you. I say, man, it's the third leading cause of death. I would think about before I follow what the medicine says, because they're sure as heck not helping in the end. Okay? But again, belief system. I can't take care of my health. The doctor knows my health. That's what you learned when you were under 7. Anybody sick, we go to the doctor. I go, what did the child learn? Oh, when it comes to sickness, we don't do it. The doctor is the professional. And then I say, why is that important? Because then the doctor's words become truth to you. You don't know. The doctor says you got this disease in Latin, okay? Orthorexia nervosa. I go, that's a disease. I go, is it? I go, well, they say it is, and you believe it, okay? And I go, wait a minute. I take their words and I make it my truth. What if the doctor says you're going to die in 3 months with cancer? What do you think the mind says? Oh my God, I only have 3 months left. And as the clock is ticking down, the mind is saying, we're getting ready. We're going to be dying. We're going to die in 3 months. They die in 3 months, and they're supposed to die from cancer. When they did autopsies, a lot of the people that died didn't have enough cancer to kill them. Why did they die? Negative thinking, nocebo. I believe I'm going to die. Well, if belief controls your life, then you will die when the doctor said so. And
But that also makes sense in terms of when old couples, when one person died, a couple months later, the other one died.
right.
Why? Why is that? Why does that happen so often?
Because they connect. When you connect with somebody, your energy and their energy become like one. So much so that a real couple, when they're really connected, they don't even have to finish a sentence. They could start a sentence, the other one already can finish it because they're already thinking the same. They're connected at this level. And so when you lose that one, it's like your heart's broken because your partner that you live with is gone. And when you have the heartbreak, that is the negative part that leads to death right there. Okay. Yeah. The only ones that do well are the ones that recover and say, no, I'm still here and I'm going to have a life. And sometimes they meet somebody new and they start again. The ones that never recover, that are in sorrow or crying the whole time, they go first. They go very fast.
Back to the victim role, right? You can
Can't
always
do anything about it.
You can always look at something. Someone dies. You can choose to say, "Oh, fuck everything. Now I'm alone," or you can choose to say, look at all these beautiful memories and all the things I learned with this person. Now maybe it's time to do something else. I know it's difficult. It's not like I'm saying it's easy.
No.
But there's always two ways of looking at something.
Absolutely. I mean, my neighbor, his wife was one of the most wonderful women I've ever met. She was so beautiful, and she ended up with cancer. Why? How could someone who's so wonderful have cancer? I said, it's not her. It was the program that she got from her parents that led to the cancer, not her positive thinking. It was her negative. And he was so lost because they were the most wonderful together couple. And for a long time, he kept busy. That was what he had to do. He had to keep busy. So he was helping neighbors and helping. Why? He had a reason to wake up and do something. And now he met this other woman, and he's a happy guy again, and he's over 80, and he's enjoying his life. I go, why? Because he didn't stay in the sadness and the grief. He moved on. It's those that stay in the grief and the sadness have a very bad life after that and die very much faster.
Nocebo again.
Nocebo, negative thinking.
So the thing is, how can we break this program? I'm especially thinking about the new generation now of young people who lives in this chaotic environment and with a lot of negative ideas around them.
Yeah.
What is the solution to those people in despair out there?
Well, if you find community, let's think of a nice community. I'll tell you, dolphins have a nice community, okay? If one of the dolphins gets sick, the other, because they have to breathe the air, the other dolphins will get underneath and lift that dolphin up to the top so it could breathe. Well, I said, then what's keeping this one alive? I said, the community. I say, if people are in a community, the community supports them, okay? But if they're alone and their loved one disappears and they're alone, they got no support, and they're floating free, and they will not do very well. But if you're in a community, all those around you will help you get through and work with you and keep you there and give you, treat you like community. We're not here. I'm in Denmark, one of the happy countries in the world when you consider all the other countries.
They say that.
They say
statistically, that's not true at all.
Okay, I'm sorry. I brought this. I brought the story.
It's really in reverse. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But because the whole world's in chaos. The whole world is in this place right now, and so this is the important wake-up call. It says you have to have a community. Because if you're waiting for a central government or some corporation to save you, they're not here to save you. They're here to use you. That's what corporations sell you stuff. Well, how they sell you stuff? They make you believe you need it. And then you spend all your money and you got all these toys. I always joke because everybody wants all these things and they got so much stuff. They have to rent a place to store. They got so much stuff. I go, maybe you have a little too much if you have to store it at some other place. But all that material stuff, where did it come from? It came from the planet. I say, well, how much can you take from the planet? I say, We're taking more than we need from the planet and destroying the planet to get the toys that we think we need that you put into the storage room later. It's like, what if we just stop? I said, well, not what? It's happening because you can't continue doing this anymore. There's not enough planet Earth to do this. And the scientists have recognized within 20 years and likely 10, the civilization we're in is facing, and I use their word because it's important, irreversible collapse, meaning you can't go back. That's where the problem started. You got to move from here forward. So you have to take care of the problems in the past and not take them to the front with us. So this is why, like the women Me Too generation, why? They've always been second-class citizens. It's like we can't move to the forward if we keep women as separate from the men in the game. They got to be, everybody's equal, we have to change the way we're living, like the race, black race, brown race, all this, say, oh, we're second class. I go, no, we're all the same. And that's why the Black Lives Matter is coming up. This is why the green movement is coming up. Why? Because they say you can't keep destroying the planet. In the future, we got to do something different. So the problems in the past are showing up so that we don't carry them into the future where we're going. And the future is going to be fabulous because you don't have to have so much stuff. And you start to realize you could be happy on less. Look, I travel to India a lot. It'll break your heart in one sense when you see young kids, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, in the garbage pile looking for scraps to eat, okay? And the issue about that is, yeah, but if you hang around these kids, no matter if they're looking for that food scrap, they're happy kids.
Yeah.
No matter how poor they are,
I agree.
they are happy.
Because they have the simple lives.
They have a simple life.
I was visiting, actually. I was in India, and there was this tuk-tuk driver who took me around. Yeah. And he said, come to my place. I'm like, okay, let me go. So he drove me an hour out to this kind of like place with no windows. The windows were open into the building. And I came up, and it was filled with garbage. Yeah. And they were poor. Like, this is where all the people, the beggars, they would live. But the community and he was like, I wish we had the same things as you guys have. And I'm like, you guys have what you need. Look at the kids. Look at how they're playing outside. I know it's trash, and I know that they don't have all the technology and all the money, but this looks like something, a community. This looks like something that we need in the West.
Absolutely. We don't have that. People are not happy. Why? I didn't get a new car. That was made you happy, It's just so unfortunate because we put off being happy with the idea in the competition Darwin. Until I am at that level of competition, that I'm better, that I will get these toys. So my toys tell me how happy I'm supposed to be. Because look how many toys I have, and you don't. So I must be happier than you. I go, rich people aren't happier than poor people. In fact, it's the opposite. Now they got more problems than poor people. Yeah.
But you say you're optimistic about the future.
Yeah, because the collapse that's happening where people are afraid, I look at it as like, this is good. This is exciting. Why? If it doesn't, the thing's falling apart, chaos everywhere. I say, if it doesn't collapse, we're in worse shape ever. It has to stop. So when I see it collapsing, to me, that's a good sign. They're saying it's not working. Good, because there'll be a point where everybody's going to say, okay, this is not working. What will work? And then we put it back together again. It's interesting. In Tunisia, where the Arab Spring started. It started because one guy started the whole Arab Spring. He burned himself alive in front of the government building. He said, the government's killing me. The police are taking advantage of me. The tax people take advantage of me. And he says, I can't live because of the government. And he burned himself alive. That started in Tunisia. The movement, they threw out the dictator, and the people started to say, yeah, well, we're not, the government is ruining us, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, then what? Well, they had to get a new prime minister, okay? So they have the government, where the Senate or whatever you call the Assembly of People, and it was only men. And for the first year after the collapse, all they did was argue with each other. Who is right, who's wrong, fighting each other. They made no progress. The next year, women got elected, and they were the smart ones. They said, instead of fighting over the differences, why don't we start working on the things we both agree on? The healthcare, should we all have healthcare? Yeah, both sides. Yeah, we should. How about education? Yeah. Everybody wants education, healthcare. And all of a sudden they said, wait, we can build a government on the things we want collectively and not fight over the differences. And they wrote a constitution for the new government. It was such a powerfully good constitution, they got Nobel Peace Prize to write this. Now, it didn't mean the people were ready to accept it, but they wrote a constitution where everybody gets health care, everybody gets education, everybody gets the basic needs of life, okay? It's the best constitution that ever was written, far better than any other country constitution. But the point was what? It had to have the women come in and bring the balance, because when it was men, they would fight each other because that's what men do, okay? In America, some of the native tribes, only the women can vote for the chief. Why? Well, if the men vote for the chief, they're going to say, who's the strongest one here? Who's the strongest one? When the women vote for the chief, it's like, who's the father? Yeah. Who's the one that can take care of us, as well as being the strong one? But the men, who's the strong one? They didn't care about the rest of it. Yeah. But the women, they selected chief who was going to help the community as well as be able to make it strong.
That's the laws of gender.
Yeah.
Male and female serve different purposes.
Yeah.
And I think we're beginning to understand that now.
Yeah. Well, remember I talked about programming? Mm-hmm. Here's the interesting part, and the idea is this. I can remember when I was young, boys, okay? The things that we did took away sensitivity, meaning, they used to hit you in the arm. And, see if you blink. See if you blink. I hit you.
We remember.
And then you go, no, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Of course you feel it. Yeah. But what do you say? I don't feel it. I said, what was the point? You don't become so sensitive. I said, what was the point of making boys not sensitive? You ready? To make them soldiers. If you're going to kill somebody, you can't be sensitive. You go, I kill somebody. Oh, no. If you're sensitive, you can't be a soldier. So the boys are trained to lose sensitivity so they can be soldiers. The women, you can be sensitive all they want. So they have all the emotions. Men, I say, what? And then, excuse me, women go, oh, men are so insensitive. I said, we were programmed. And that was to make us soldiers.
It's yeah.
I definitely see those tendencies, and I agree with you also with the collapse. I think that's what we're seeing. Like the same when you look at all the entertainment and everything. Everyone is looking entertainment to get their eyes away from what the real thing. Like the Roman circus.
Yeah, that's it. Let them eat, the French. Let them eat cake. Yeah. There was Marie Antoinette, I think. When the people were rioting, there was no food. And she said, let them eat cake. Why? Give them something sweet. Away. They won't pay attention to other stuff. Give them something sweet.
Like the gladiator fights.
Yes, circus and bread. Yeah, like they're throwing bread out and doing circus. Like they even had TV chefs back then in ancient Rome. Not TV chefs, but like famous chefs.
Yeah.
And this is the same when you look around. This is all we care about. Music, sport, all the shit that doesn't make a change. They're making billions.
Yeah. As long as you can keep the public from thinking, you give them the something that
you can program them.
You can program them because they're not paying attention. Yeah. And right now, nobody's paying attention. Right now, they're so afraid. All they're thinking about, how am I going to take care of myself? And then they realize, it's not so easy, is it? And all of a sudden, now the fear. Because once you have the fear, you lost the power. Fear means you're a victim. Victim means you have no power. And so people are feeling very afraid about the future because they say, I have no power. What am I going to do when the future comes?
I have one thing. I just want to go back to the wrestler. Yeah. The wrestling guy you were talking about. So this guy, he believes I should have this, I should do this. Obviously, he took someone else's ideas and made them his own. I gotta get a car, I gotta do everything. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think we can all feel that way. Like, what is it that's actually my purpose?
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to hear your thoughts on it, because I think it must be somewhat of a two-way communication, right? It can't just be you bashing down all your programs. You also got to find out, what are the receptors in me telling me, what is the spirit telling
Yeah.
me to go in which direction?
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Well, first of all, it's very, very interesting, because in the beginning of my life, I used to, like have a thought, I should do this. And I go, no, I'm not going to do that, And every time I didn't listen, I always ended up in trouble somehow. Then I started to catch on and think, okay, these thoughts coming from someplace my spirit was trying to talk to me, say, do this. And I would go, no. And now I learn very quickly. When I get those thoughts, I make immediate response, okay? And then the question is, let's go back. Why are we here? As human beings, we're here, as the Native Americans said, we're here to take care of the planet. Well, obviously, we're not doing that job. We're really messing up. But I say, why take care of the planet? Because this is, to me, so exciting. People say, well, that's religion has programmed them. Well, if you are morally good, if you do everything according to the Bible of doing good, you could get a chance and go to heaven. I say, what's heaven? Well, it's a place where you can create your wishes and desires. And I go, this is where you're creating wishes and desires. This is your creation. I say, we came here to experience heaven. Why? Well, the honeymoon, when people fall in love, that first part that's heaven on earth, if there was ever heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Everything was beautiful. Everything was lovely. The food, the music, the sex, of course. And then even the job that was miserable, it was like, it's not so bad, because you're in love. And I said, oh, then what did you make? Heaven on earth? I said, that's why we are here. If you are creating in harmony with the planet, it's a joy to be here. How many times have you guys seen a sunset lately? Think about it. How many times have you sat and said, watch the sun go down? Maybe not a lot.
I'm actually seeing the sunset a lot, but not with my conscious mind. Then I have my phone next to me. My brain somewhere else.
Well, that's
But
the
yeah,
point.
I
We're so
see what you
busy,
mean.
you forgot about the garden. I say, the people say for aliens, aliens would say the Earth is one of the most beautiful places in the whole universe. I go, it is beautiful. Have you seen it lately? No, I watch the news. No, I go to work from the X in the morning till late at night. I go, you haven't been experiencing the planet. I said, no, because I'm working. I go, that's not why you came here. You came here to enjoy this planet, to be in love, to be in a community, to laugh. This is why we're here, okay? And I say, people forgot that, because now they work almost a whole day, and then they're on the internet, and then they go to bed. And I say, did you see the sunset? No. Did you go in the garden? No. Did you do anything for fun? Not really. Why? I'm busy working. I go, well, that's not why we came here. We came here because this is a beautiful world, the beauty, if you ever live in nature, is like, oh my God, it's so beautiful to be here. But nobody's living in nature. They're living in a job. And the job is what? Competition. So you're going to struggle to make sure you got the job, and then you're going to try to get higher in the job. And I go, that's not why we were here. The guy who pushes the broom and cleans the floor can be happier than the richest guy in the world. Why? He does his job, he goes home, and now he's free, and he can enjoy himself. The rich guy is never free. He's always connected on the phone, on the computer. Why? We're busy moving the world around. I go, you're so busy, you weren't even here in this world.
And it's so stupid if you speak to someone and they're like, okay, if you were to make a lot of money and become rich, what do you want to do? Oh, then I want to become healthy. Then I want to start cook. Then I want to do all my stuff, all my hobbies and stuff. Why the hell don't you do them now?
But that's the point, because they're too busy trying to survive.
Yeah.
Why? Because they bought into a system that says you either work hard, that's like the Protestant thing. Work hard. I go, work hard. That was why we're here. I go, no. We were look, the earliest people, they didn't work at all. What they do? Where they lived, their food was on the trees. You could eat food anytime. I used to live in the Caribbean, and I remember I brought my kids there, and these people live in these run-down little shack places, like little, and my kids go, oh, look at the poor shacks. I go, all they need is to keep out of the rain. They don't need anything more than to keep out of the rain. They're happier than anybody you know, and they live in that little shack over there. Why? Because they're free. They want to eat some food. There's a tree with a mango, and there's a papaya, and there's all this stuff growing all over the place. Remember I said the surface area of the brain is the amount of intelligence? Whales and dolphins, porpoises, they have more surface area than we have. You go, well, I thought they were supposed to be intelligent. They don't have a TV. They don't have the internet. I go, they don't have a job either. And guess what? They travel the whole world, and they play all the time. They're always with each other. And you think they're the ones that are stupid? Look at yourself.
And that's exactly what's the problem here with Denmark, because as you read these statistics saying Denmark is so happy, but we're the complete opposite. Because we live in these boxes, we watch television, we have a safety net, so we're not really challenged in any way. We have a good societal safety net, but that's exactly what's wrong with us.
No community.
No community.
Playing time. And
we are so robotic in our minds because we have everything. We have a plan. Go to work, get a job, get a mortgage, retire.
Yeah. Well, the mortgage is a debt on your life.
Yeah,
it says I have to work. Why? Because if I don't, they take the mortgage and I lose the house, and all of a sudden you now are committed to doing this. They said, who was the first crazy people? And the first crazy people were the ones that when one person said, this is my boundary, this is my yard. And all the other people looked at him because there were no yards, there were no boundaries, and they said, okay, you could have that. Yeah. And then they I want my piece. Then I want my piece, and everybody's looking for a piece. And it's like, in the original world, nobody owned anything. You could put your teepee, your tent, wherever you want to put it over there, put it over there. So you can do whatever you want, you know? Because there was no overhead.
Yeah, but it makes so much sense.
We'll wait for the collapse.
Yeah.
And
it's really...
No, you don't. No. Start now. Don't wait for the collapse. Start now. Learn to live in a community with less. Learn that happiness is hanging out with your friends. Listen to the music, you know? Have a drink, smoke a funny cigarette, whatever you want, you know? Enjoy yourself, because I always tell people, you don't get a refund at the end of your life. Or I had 100,000 bad days, so I get a refund. I said, no, it's gone. I say, so don't have a bad day, because a bad day doesn't come back to you. You get nothing from the bad day. So if it's a bad day, why don't you turn around and change it into a good day? Well, that's what I've done. What I do, I don't go out anymore, in a sense that things come to me. I don't have to go out and search and try and grab something. I never even asked to please let me give a lecture. I never asked anybody to give a lecture. They asked me to give a lecture. It comes to me. Things come to me. Why? Because I'm not resisting them anymore. I'm not saying, oh, I can't get it, but I will work hard. Saying you can't get it is why you can't get it. You know, and the idea is, what if you just live like every day is a beautiful, happy day? I go, at some point, the job is not that important when you think about it, because it doesn't give you the happiness. And if you miss the happiness today, you don't get any benefit. Oh, you just lost another day of living on a beautiful planet. Yeah. And so it's really...
I heard something from a spiritual teacher saying that as long as you follow your passion at all moments of every day, you have everything you need.
There I am. That's exactly what that said. And
just
that's
do
where
what you love, basically. Then nothing can go wrong. That's Bashar, yeah.
Well, I believe that 100% by practice. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear the philosophy. I lived the philosophy. And now that you're saying, I go, yeah, that's pretty much true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and I got out of the system because I saw the system wasn't working. It was corrupt in medical school. And I said, I was a professor. I could have stayed there my whole life. It's called tenure. When you have a job at the university and they call tenure, that means you, for as long as you live, you can have this job. And I had tenure and I walked out. Why? I could have stayed there and had a job forever. But it's like I walked out, I had no job. That was the scary part. Oh my God, my whole conventional life, I walked out and I got no money. What am I going to do now? And the fact is, live in harmony, and guess what? Then everything came back to me. But it came back to me in a joyous way, not me going out there and grabbing it and trying to bring it home.
How about the people? When you made that change, did you notice that it was a different kind of people that approached you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'll tell you why. I used to be the people around me, they would complain about this, or I got the bad health, I got the bad job, I got a bad family. I don't know those people anymore. They're not around me. All the people around me are people doing something like you guys. They got something to do, and they love what they do. And if they love what they do, then they have no complaint about what they do. And they do it because it comes from their heart, not because it comes from the pocketbook. No, the job comes from the heart. You do what you want. And then all of a sudden, it's why you sleep like a baby at nighttime. You don't go to sleep with worry. No worry. I go to bed. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes. But I'm just going to go for the full out. Enjoy it. Why? Because I won't have to sit back later and say, I wish I did this. I don't have to wish I did. I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay? And if people knew this, they would be happier. They would live in a community and be happier. They would start to recognize that, was it the money that made you happy? I say, no, in fact, a lot of money doesn't make people happy at all. It goes the other way around, okay? And if people knew this in a world where struggle is the main thing, what if you weren't struggling? It's like, I already know this. Why? Because I was in both worlds. I was in the competitive university, compete for the grant, work for the money, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of work, but I enjoyed the work, okay? But I don't have to do that anymore. And because of what I love what I do. People ask me to go all over the world to talk to them. I go, okay, that's not a bad job. Travel the whole world, and I love it because the people that come to my lecture are people that want to say, it's not working. Bruce, give me a different story. Tell me a different way. They want change.
So it's not only epigenetics, it's also law of attraction.
Well, yeah, that's called harmonic resonance. That's physics again.
Again, that's just a label.
Yeah, the physics are energy. And if somebody shares the same energy as you, in people talk, it's called good vibes. I say, what happens? When two energies in harmony come together, they create more energy. So two people with lower energies in harmony, when they come together, they get more energy together than they do if they're separate from each other. It's all based on energy. Energy is life. You have energy, you got life. You have no energy, you got no life. And the idea is we have given money energy. So all of a sudden it says, well, do I have enough money to have happy? Yeah. I said, well, no, energy might buy you the toys, but it didn't buy you happy. Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Also because I'm in this scientific longevity community. A lot with biohacking, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
But that is all about reading genes, reading biohackers. What vitamin do you need? What gene are you predisposed to? Then we can read it all, and then we can, plug in what do you need.
Well, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, and instinctively in me,
doesn't make sense.
Just doesn't make sense. No. And especially after what you have taught us today, which we already basically knew from the beginning, but we got it confirmed
read your book.
that it's not about the materialistic things. It's about the energy, right?
Yes, because everything is energy. Matter has energy. But the matter of the energy doesn't necessarily give you any energy except you believe it did. Yeah, I love the Ferrari, and I drive, a Volkswagen. I go, well, is my life better with a Ferrari? I can tell the answer is no. You know why? I had that dream, and I ended up with a car called a Pantera. It was made in Italy, like a Ferrari, but it had a giant American Ford engine in it, powerful engine in it. All I got were tickets from the speeding of the car. And it was really nice, but it cost a lot of money. I didn't use it that much. And at some point, it's like, it sat there, and I lived in the state of Wisconsin, lots of snow. And somebody came, they saw in the front yard a big lump of snow in the front yard. They said, what's that? I said, that's my car. I said, what is it, Pantera? And they said, you got your Pantera underneath a snow pile? I was like, yeah, because after I had it, it was the idea of having it. Then I had it, it was more trouble. I ended up riding my motorcycle over the Pantera. And the idea is the dream of, when I have the Pantera, it's going to be great. And I go, it was more pain in the ass than anything I ever had. It was fast. It was beautiful. But in the end, it cost me too much trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's also programmed in us as kids. We want that toy. Yeah. Oh, that one is playing with that toy. I want that toy too. Yeah. Especially now, there's so many toys and dolls and everything that you need to have all the time. But once you get it, Christmas Eve, fun. Next day, fun. Third day, in the trash.
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah. I guess we learn that with age if we're conscious about it, but we need to.
New.
Yeah.
Then there's something new you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that because we moved, my partner Margaret and I, we moved into this house, and the first week I thought, I really want a hot tub. Because we live in Wisconsin, and when the weather is, in California, and I thought, and I got nervous because I said, that always happens. You buy something new, and then a few days later, you don't use it. Sometimes you use it. I still have this hot tub 28 years now, 29 years. I use it. Why? Because when I sit in that hot tub, the heat gets into my bones, and I feel so good. And so
you feel good.
It's a toy? I said, no, in this case, it's something that brings joy and happiness into my biology. My biology loves to sit in that hot water when it's cold like that. So it's like I was afraid because, as you said, most of the thing, well, what if I spend all this money and then about a few weeks later say, I'm finished with a hot tub, But I have to say, sometimes some of those things, it's a great idea. Sometimes.
Maybe that's the way to go into something like that. You got to think about it that way. I'm scared if I'm not going to use this. Should I still buy it?
Yeah.
And then if the answer is yes, maybe you should.
Yeah. Let me help you, because I want to tell you a good way, because sometimes you have an important decision to make. Let me go back first and say, there was a class in school called algebra, math. Do you remember algebra math? And part of that algebra, if you can remember, they give you a very long equation, like x squared times 3 divided by blah, blah. It's a long equation. And the job was to what? Make it smaller and smaller. Remember anything like that, where you start at the top of the page with a big equation, then you reduce it a little bit, then you reduce it again. And so let's say you start at the top and 5 things, you reduce it, and at the bottom, okay? If you make one mistake anywhere in the 5, the answer at the bottom is wrong, okay? Because you thought that was what you should do. I go, okay, now you have a decision. Should I do this job? Should I leave this job? Should I do that job? I say, well, it's like algebra. You start thinking, well, if I do this job, this is a benefit, or this is not a benefit. And you start to do like an equation, benefit, no benefit, benefit. You're thinking, then you get the answer. I say, is that it? I go, no, because you want the real answer? Do that. It's an exercise. It's good so you know what you're getting into. But I said, what if you made one mistake in that thing where you thought it was good, but it was really bad? And I said, well, the answer at the bottom is wrong. So I said, well, where did I get the answer from? This is cool. Do the exercise. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And then before you make the decision, before the decision, you say to yourself, how do I feel about this? Not how I think about it. How do I feel about it? Because feeling is energy, okay? So the answer comes from the heart. Heart does the feeling. Heart tells you feelings. I say, you can use your head, do all the positive, negative, positive, blah, blah, blah. But when it's time to make the decision, you go to your heart. You go, how do I feel about this? And guess what? The heart doesn't do the math. The heart just tells you more energy, less energy. It's all it's going to tell you, less energy, more energy. It's going to tell you which way to go. If you should do it, the heart will go, yeah, this is good, more energy. Yeah. Or if it's a wrong decision without the thinking part, the heart just measures the energy, goes, no, it's less energy, don't do it. So the bottom line is we always are programmed to use this head. I say it, but these are based on the things you learned and your belief. If any of them is wrong and you put it into the equation, the answer at the bottom is not the same answer. The heart doesn't do math. The heart just says, more energy, less energy. That's all it's going to look and tell you about it, because that's what you really want to know. Why? Life is energy. So instead of trusting the brain, the decision should always come from your heart, because your heart doesn't get confused. It knows the energy one or the other, and it knows if it's a better energy or a lesser energy to make that decision. Not thinking, energy. So if you have a very important decision to make, really the final choice or answer comes from, how do I feel? Not how do I think about it. How do I feel about this decision? And the heart will tell you. You understand what's going on, but you have to understand it by stepping outside. Because if you're in the middle of the story, you look around, you're in a story of everybody around you. You want to see the answer, you can't be in the middle of it. You got to step outside and look back and say, looking at it from outside, was this a good, or am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing?
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very, not just a beautiful message, but also a real message. And I think that people need to step out of this victim role.
Yeah.
That we
And
aren't
it's-
really a part
And again, it's something we all feel, but to hear it from someone that has done it and done it to the fullest,
done the research.
and is teaching other people to do it, and knows the science behind it, it's so nice.
Well, I appreciate it because, as I said, this is not the first 40 years of my life thinking where I am now. The last 40 years since then has been done with a whole new way of doing it. And I have to tell you, I sleep like a baby. I don't have a doctor. I don't take their prescription drugs. I have people around me that I love to be with. I don't have people around me that are complaining, or, this is bad, my heart, or whatever. It's like, I don't know. They're not here. So I'm in the same world, but different world, so to
But
speak.
you created that circumstance for yourself.
Yeah, but we all can do this,
We
and
can
that's
all
what
do
the
this.
point is. Because most people just feel they're a victim, and the word victim means I have no power, and I go, that's the complete opposite. Because you are the creator, you have the power until someone says you don't have the power, and if you buy that from those people, then you lost your ability to become what you can be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're turning 80 this month?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good time.
Old man, but young mind.
Oh, yeah, because it's like, from the looking outside, I don't see the age. If I have to look in the mirror, it goes, oh,
then
no,
you see
okay,
it.
that's okay. Don't look in the mirror, life is better.
Yeah.
You look good, Bruce.
You look good. And we have birthday the same date, by the way.
21?
21 October.
Oh, good balance. A Libra with a little Scorpio to
Yeah,
get
right,
to get that juice in there a little bit.
I
yeah.
have a crazy maybe question in the end.
Yeah.
Because that's something I always thought about. Astronomy. And these things
Yes.
you just mentioned. because-
Astrology or
Oh,
astronomy?
sorry,
Astrology.
astrology.
Yes, it's 100% real.
Yeah, because what I'm
It
thinking is the stars and the way it's also vibrations.
It's energy.
The sun is energy, and around the sun it's not only when people think about the universe, they think about a sun and things going around like
Yeah.
this. They should think about it like this. It's moving and going around in spirals, getting energy
Yeah.
from all point, meaning there can never be two birthdays or 2 seconds that's the same.
No.
And if there's some sort of thing that's imprinted on you the moment that you're either born, or
Yep,
the moment
there is.
that maybe that's what forms the receptors.
That is what it is. Look, you make antibodies against things that are in the environment, right?
Mhm.
Energy is in the environment. And when you're born, before you're born, you're in salt water, inside the womb, salt water. Salt water doesn't let the energy come in. Why? Because you need the energy for the control of the development. If you have outside energy coming in, it could mess up the development. So you don't see the world's energy until the moment you're born. And at that moment you're born, all of a sudden you get hit by the energy field. And it's like antibodies, receptors are made to know this field right here. So you have checked in, this is your field that you're looking at. And so you have a unique, even identical twins, they're not born at the same time. They're half hour or an hour or more between them. I say, what's the point? The second kid is not in the same energy as the first kid that came in. What is it? It's energy, yes, you're right, okay? What are the planets? You might not remember before LED television, before the chip television. There used to be a picture tube. And the picture tube had a screen in the front. And in the back was a gun that shoots electrons that lights up the screen. So it would shoot the gun would
Yeah, like
shoot
a projector.
projector with the energy from the gun would light up the screen, make a picture. But so the tube had the big front where the screen was, and then at the back it narrows down to just a narrow tube, okay? And the gun was at the back of the tube, and it would shoot the electrons toward the screen, which would make a picture. Around the neck of that tube were magnets. It's the magnets that control the electron beam. There's a magnet and the electron's coming, the magnet can distort the electron. So the magnets around the neck of the tube would control where the beam went on the screen. So it would scan like this, okay? The sun is the gun sending energy. The planets are the magnets. Whenever they move, they can make energy get compressed, or if they move apart, they can spread the energy wider. So they're shaping the energy coming from the sun, okay? And so when you're born, the energy that was focused on you on that day was unique to you, born at this place, at this time, and the energy is going to shape you, okay? Now, here's what the interesting part is, and people don't know this. Real astrology people will not do a reading on somebody until when? First, they have to see how conscious they are. I go, why? Because your brain waves are not contained in your head. A lot of people, they put wires on your head, they call it electroencephalography, EEG, okay? There's another one that reads magnetoencephalograph. It reads the magnetic field, not just the electric field, but it reads the same brain function, right? The probe is out here. I go, what does that mean? You thought your thoughts were in your head. No, they're being broadcast, and they're interacting with all the other energy in the field. That's where the quantum physics says our thoughts are interacting with the energy of the field, okay? Well, when you're conscious, your energy can change the energy from the field. It can make an energy stronger, or it could collapse an energy. So if you're conscious, how the astrology people can't predict what's going to happen, because as the energy comes to you, your consciousness can change the energy, enhance an energy, subtract an energy. So you cannot be predicted when you're conscious. A person who's not conscious, whatever the energy is coming in, the energy is going to shape who they are. So the less conscious an individual is, the more you can predict what's going to happen. So let's say a lower animal like a turtle. What day are they coming? What day is the hatching day? What day is the day they come to mate? Why? It's in the stars what day it is. It's a calendar. You can say what day the turtles are coming onto the beach by looking at the planets. Astrology is real. Okay?
So you cannot take an astrology reading online?
No, because you don't know how your consciousness is going to affect it.
Okay, so it's not just about the date and time. It's also about reading the person's consciousness.
That's right, because if they're highly conscious, there's zero prediction. Because
I could not be predicted, for example.
If you're conscious, no, because you'll just say, I'm not buying it. It's like, oh, that's a negative. Nah, I'm not buying it. And then you change the energy field because you're broadcasting energy, and energy interacts with energy. So I can take an energy coming in and make it more powerful, or an energy coming in I could.
But how would you make a person less conscious?
They have to become conscious. They have to become aware. They have to start thinking.
Okay,
they have
like that.
To say, wait, I'm thinking. I have choices. I can do things. The less intelligent is like, no choice. I just feel I got to do this. It's like, oh, then you do it without thinking. So they're the predictable ones, but the ones who are conscious, it's their mind that controls them, not the field outside. But if you're not conscious, the field outside will control you.
Okay, got it. So yeah, it's very interesting that, and this, am I right when I say this is coming from the heart rather than the brain? Is this something because I'm just remembering a piece of information now from Heart Math Institute.
Okay, here's what Heart Math is. It's a great institute because it talks about heart and brain connecting.
Yeah.
Okay. The brain has a broadcaster, which I said I could read with a probe out here. Mm-hmm. But the power of the electromagnetic field from the brain, it's not that powerful. So it can affect you, a certain way around it. So you can influence right here, okay? Mm-hmm. But the heart has an extremely powerful electromagnetic field. You can read it meters away, okay? Heart Math was giving the story that's true. If you take your thoughts from your head but come from your heart, you can broadcast your thoughts for a giant field because it's carrying it. The analogy, I could play, I don't, but let's say we have a musician who plays acoustic guitar, no electric.
Yeah.
I say, how big can the audience be? But you can only, guitar only makes so much noise. How far can it go?
Yeah.
So a small size, I could have a small room play acoustic, okay? But if I go into amphitheater, 50,000 people in there, they can't sit and hear my guitar. So what we do, we amplify it, put it through the speakers. I can make my guitar, 50,000 people can hear it, okay?
Ah.
The brain itself is like acoustic guitar. The heart is
Wow.
amplifier.
Okay, interesting.
So-
Good analogy.
Yeah, so if you can put your thought into that, you can broadcast it far and wide, and then your thought has great influence.
But that's what you talk about all the time with the
Yeah,
magnetic
but
field of
that's
the
what
heart.
when you said that you have to be conscious in order for not I mean that also has to do something about that, right? Going more with your feeling body than only your mental body, because your mental body is so weak that if you also use this, your field around you is going to be stronger. And the reason I said it is I remember that Heart Math Institute, they did a study on the 11th of September or something like that.
Oh, it's 911, yeah. Right.
911, where all of the whole world, they have these receptors all around the world, and they measured that the whole electromagnetic field of the world
The planet's electromagnetic field
became
changed.
stronger for 15 minutes and then grew bigger again. And they're like, what the hell happened? And then they look at what time it was, and it was the exact time when everyone was getting the news around.
Actually, it was even started a few minutes before the attack.
Wow.
Because it was energy in the field. The energy is here before the matter
we
is
already
here.
know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the energy field was already preparing for this before the physical reality happened.
And that's what I remembered. And I remembered that because they described it as the immune system. Again, for instance, something like solar flares is the electromagnetic field. Just like you're describing, you're more receptive your outside environment if you don't have this consciousness, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this was just
The
what I
same
was
thing when Princess Di died.
Who?
Princess Diana from
Diana, yeah.
the electromagnetic field of the Earth changed just as she was in the car.
So interesting how it's all
Yeah.
connected, and it's
That's a
connected.
scientific proof as well.
Quantum
And this
physics.
quantum physics, and then I go, that's not New Age thinking. Quantum physics is the most
Yeah.
accurate science.
But why are
So
we
it's not-
neglecting it so much?
What's that?
Why are we neglecting it so
Because
much?
how many people are trained in
Can't make
quantum
money off
physics? How many people
Yeah.
out here, if you say, tell me what the meaning of quantum physics is, they go,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But
We don't
yeah,
teach it.
But I'm like, I had to learn this on my own. No one taught me that. I
Right.
was depressed for 25 years because I thought I was just like, I learned it from this one, I guess.
Yeah, and this is the same thing. Why they don't teach certain things in medical school? Why?
Yeah.
Will they teach how to heal yourself in medical school? And the answer is no.
No, then there's no money.
And if there are ways you can help, will they teach it? I say no. Why? Medical school is to program you to buy drugs. If you can heal yourself without the drug, they will not teach that in the medical school because it would be against the business.
It's going to give them less power. It's going to put
Yeah.
them out of power. They wanna
Take them
keep-
away. It takes the money away from them. If you become intelligent, they get less money.
And then it just becomes very, very weird to me that there are some people at the very top who knows all of this knowledge that we're talking about. They know all of it. They know that the real happiness is not power and not success and not being above everyone else, but yet they do it. Which gives me the idea is not everyone the same? Are there a select, very, very, very
No,
few?
look, everybody's powerful, intelligent. It's an education that makes a difference. The book, I think, did I mention Richard Kiyosaki wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's
Yeah.
the name of the book.
I've heard
I
about it,
remember
yeah.
Okay, so what was the point? If you came from a family where the programming was rich people believe, you stayed rich. You come from a family where poor people believe is what the program is, you stay poor. What was your program? And if I teach you an education and take away your power, then you become weak and I become strong. And so the idea of look, who knew this? You ready? The Jesuits. I go, what do you mean? They knew for 400 years, they told their followers this, listen, give me a child until it is 7 and I will show you the man. I go, if people heard that, they go, oh, okay, they had no meaning. I'll tell you what the science is. 7 years is the actual number of years of programming where you get your basic programming. And then 95% of your life comes from the program. So if I can control the first 7 years, I own the rest of your life. And that's when they created a Catholic school. Why? Train them to be Catholic before they're 7, and they will be Catholic for 95% of their life. And so I say, well, that was 400 years ago. The training today of controlling people, you can see an infant that can hardly walk with an iPad.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important for the parents to control those 7 years. And I instinctively go about these laws in my home. No television, no outside access or social media and all that stuff, because I know that they are so malleable
That's because that's the programmable part.
Yeah.
Because without a program, the computer will not work. And so you got to put the program in first, and then at age 7,
so first 7 years,
it.
keep
It's
them home.
program.
First 7 years.
Is give them
Keep them home.
But no. The first 7 years, encourage them.
Yeah.
First 7 years, well, you're the smartest kid. You're so powerful. You can do anything, and you give them these power words. Why? Because that's what they're going to record. And then 95% of their life will come, oh, yeah, I'm powerful.
Yeah,
I can do
easy.
anything.
Everything will
I can
come
do
easy
this.
after that.
And that's why the rich dad, poor dad, first 7 years in the rich family belief gives them that belief that made them the money, okay? Unfortunately, the opposite side, if you grow up in a poor family, oh, we'll never make it. Oh, jobs are so hard. Life is very difficult. I go, if that's what the child is downloading, then 95% of their life comes from that. So the idea of being programmed, that's 400 years old, okay? The programming started with the Jesuits, but today is in the hands of the corporations that whatever they want to sell you, if they can get it in the kid's head before age 7, it becomes a program after age 7.
Then they have a soldier, basically. They have a robot.
That's
they
exactly
have whatever
what,
they want.
That the movie The Matrix, when Morpheus, when asked what's the Matrix trying to do, he held up a battery, and he said, turn people into power batteries to use to create the world that they want.
That's what we're living in.
The Matrix is a documentary.
Yeah.
That's the name of this podcast.
The Matrix is a documentary,
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much.
Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here with you, and I'm really glad because it's the younger people that need this story, because they're the ones that feel they're the least powerful. They feel no hope. I go, man, that's the reason you're so important is because they're not part of the system. So if they say, oh, the system's going down, they go, who cares? I'm not part of the system. I don't care. That means they're not holding on to keep it the way it is, because those that are holding on are the ones that resist the change. They don't want to see it collapse. And I'm going, man, it has to collapse, because if it doesn't, we're in very bad shape. So young people, thank God you're there.
Yeah.
And it might look bad for you at the moment, but boy, there's going to be a revolution, and you are going to be the new people.
Yeah. And that will be the message for today.
That'll be the message for the people out there. Don't get too attached to the system. Create your own life.
Yeah. Join that community. Be with your friends.
Yeah.
And this is why raves, you know, the drug ecstasy, it releases a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is bonding hormone. So like when the mother is nourishing the baby, breastfeeding the baby, she's getting oxytocin, the baby's getting oxytocin. That's the bond between the mother and the father. When you fall in love with somebody, you release oxytocin to bond with them. But if you just take like the ecstasy and you're around everybody else, guess what? You're bonding with everybody. And that's why the community gets so excited in a rave, because they're all getting oxytocin, which is bonding with everybody else in this room, and they feel the greatness of a community. Unfortunately for most, it's only because the drug was releasing oxytocin. But after the drug wears out, if you were releasing it on your own, you would still have the community. But if the drug wears out, then you're back alone again until you take more ecstasy.
Yeah. And then you know it exists, so then you feel even worse after you take the drug. You gotta take it again, and then you do something new, and then you start pharmaceutical, then you do Xanax, and everything else.
Yeah, but you
opioids.
can release oxytocin because of the desire to bond.
Yeah, we can also just everyone hug and then
Yeah.
we release.
That's it.
oxytocin.
And
Yeah.
enjoy the other person. So you want to be with the other person. That is oxytocin.
Yeah.
Mm.
When you want to be with another person,
Mm.
it's oxytocin that does that.
Thank you so much, Bruce. It was a
you,
true pleasure.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can inspire a lot of people out there.
I hope so too, because this is a time for let's don't get depressed.
No,
Let's
exactly.
start building for the big thing is coming, and
Yeah.
it's not that far into the future.
No.
No, it's coming.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Bruce.
much.